He once beat Toby Greene to a best on-ground medal in a grand final. Now he has a Brownlow, a Premiership and holds an impressive AFL record.
54 possessions.
At 30 years of age and at his third club, there's no holding this ball magnet back. Next. G'day, Richo here, and welcome to Knock Off, brought to you by Pepper Jack Wines. And what a guest we have for you today. He's done everything in footy. He won a premiership last year with the Pies. He's won a Brownlow medal with the Hawks. His name is Tom Mitchell, and he joins us now. Tommy, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks, Richo.
Yeah, good to see you, mate. I'll tell you what, you've gone a little bit sophisticated here. What do we got there?
Yeah, there's a good mix here, Richo. I think you'll enjoy what's on this little platter. We've got a bit of blue cheese. I know you'd probably like that. Yeah, over the weekend. A bit of dark chocolate, and my favourite would be the blackberries on that plate, I think.
And a bit of quince paste there.
I don't even know what that is, but that's on there too.
It is. And you've got a little bit of Pepper Jack sparkling Shiraz down there to have it with.
There
Mate,
it is.
Very, very good choice. Let's take it right back to your junior days. And I believe you played with Toby Greene and Jack Viney back in the day.
We had a star-studded junior team, a team that couldn't quite win a junior premiership either. So myself, Toby and Jack, all very close mates still. We all played in the midfield together.
Oh, nice hands from Mitchell off to Toby Greene, thrust the ball forward.
We actually used to play against a good friend of ours, Dill Buckley from the Dylan Friends pod, right. Which you've obviously been on as well. And yeah, the Fitzroy crew used to have our measure.
What about Toby? What was he like back then?
He was, he was a rough sort of character. He's come a long way. I love Toby. He's one of my best mates. But he was in and out of the midfield. So me and Jack always like to remind him that when one needed to get kicked out, Toby would go to half back because his ball use wasn't quite up to it. So that's one memory we always like to talk about.
Tommy, you're from a footy family. Your dad, Barry Mitchell, was a champion, played for 3 different clubs, but notably at the Sydney Swans. Did you always want to follow in his footsteps?
I did. You know, from a young age, I knew that I wanted to play AFL footy, and I was always around football because, you know, once Dad finished playing, he went into coaching. So a lot of my childhood revolved around being at the Carlton Footy Club. My favourite player was Cooter. You would have played on Cooter a lot. And yeah, I always knew I wanted to play footy when I was older. Did
you feel pressure when you got to the Swans? I was a father-son selection as well. And people go, oh, did you feel the pressure? I didn't. I thought it was easier to settle in because you knew a lot of people around the club.
I'd be the exact same as you. I don't think I felt the pressure. It may be a little bit different if you have a name like an Ablett or Silvani. I'm not quite sure. But I sort of got to the club and I actually had the choice of, did I want to take the number 10, the same as my dad, but I wanted to, I guess, forge my own career, took the number 6 and didn't feel pressure. It was a great journey up there.
It was a tough team to break into initially, wasn't it?
It was tough, yeah. I spent a bit of time in the reserves in the NEFL and star-started midfield up there and a team that was very successful. You know, we played in grand finals, unfortunately lost one to the Dogs in 2016, but a great experience all in all.
How did the move to the Hawks come about?
Yeah, that probably came about towards end of 2016, that season, when I sort of knew that I wanted a little bit more opportunity. I wanted some more midfield minutes, and you know, Hawthorn being a very successful club, there was a perfect opportunity to come home to Melbourne and also try and take my game to another level under Clarko and that team that was quite formidable throughout that period. So it was a pretty easy decision to leave in the end.
You get to the club and you have immediate success with your form and the way that you play. You play finals in your second year in 2018. You go to the Brownlow medal. You were runner-up in 2017. You get to the Brownlow in 2018. You're one of the favourites. How were you feeling going into the night? Because a lot of guys say, oh, I didn't write any notes or I didn't feel any pressure. How were you going?
No, I'd be lying if I said I didn't write a few notes because I remember I was a short price favourite, so I thought I'd better do some sort of preparation here. A little bit different to the year you're in contention. You said that...
Well, I didn't know.
You didn't. You had no idea, which is...
I'd never polled before, so I thought I'm no chance, but you knew. I mean, you had so many good games.
You kind of know, I guess, when you're going to be thereabouts, and there was a number of great players that year. You know, Dustin Martin had another special year, as he does every year. Cripper was really special. I had a few little things in case it did fall my way, and fortunately that night it did.
I think you had 50 disposals 3 times in your career. You had 54 that year, record amount of disposals.
You have broken the record for the most possessions in a game of AFL footy. That's a very nice achievement. Well done, mate.
Thanks very much. Obviously, like you said, it's not something you go into a game preparing to do, but the most important thing is we came out a really strong win, so pretty happy.
I believe you got a good story though, like towards the end of the Brownlow count, you went off because you were nervous, you went off to go to the toilet. Yep. What happened next?
Yeah, so as what happens at the Brownlow, as you would know, having been to many, I'm sure, they actually close the doors between certain rounds, and they obviously on the telecast don't like to have people walking around the room. They like to keep it pretty neat, I guess. And I think I would have left the room at around round 20, and then...
Were you in front when you left?
I was in front, I think. Yeah, I was in front and had a little bit of a lead, and the doors were closed until the presentation. And so I've come back to the door and said to the security guard, I think I need to get inside.
Wouldn't let you back in?
He's gone, no, mate. Like, we're not letting anyone in. And then I think someone from the AFL said, no, he might be a chance to win it. You got to let him in. So I had to sneak through and get back to my chair, and I got there, and then there's a few cameras there. So it would have been a bit embarrassing if I wasn't.
Mate, the very next year, I find this shattering in footy because you're flying. You've had 2 outstanding years, 17 and 18. You're in the peak of your powers as a footballer, and you break your leg at training. It's hard to take. What were you feeling at the time when it happened?
I was shattered. Yeah, I remember, when you're at that age, I think I was 25 at the time, and, you're probably at your peak physical age. And, I felt as though I was really excited where the team was heading. We finished in the top 4, and, I'd obviously come off a career best season from an individual point of view as well. So, you always look back and wonder, which way would my career have gone? What path would it have taken? But at the same time, you look at the opportunities that come, and maybe I would never have got to Collingwood and been a part of a Premiership team if that didn't happen. So you never quite know what life throws at you. It was a really difficult time missing, over 12 months of footy. And, but I guess I wouldn't change it in a way because you get to Collingwood and win a flag.
Was there any times throughout your recovery where you doubted you'd be able to get back to the level?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I remember the club was really good. They allowed me to go on a trip overseas to Europe. So I've been one of the fortunate players to do a European summer during football season.
I still haven't done it.
You still haven't done it?
Still haven't done
We'll
that.
have to put that on your bucket list.
I know, yeah.
And they were really good. But I remember being over there. So that would have been maybe after my second surgery of my leg, maybe around August, September time, or maybe a little earlier. And I remember just walking around and just having the constant ache. I could barely walk still. It took me probably 5 or 6 months just to walk pain-free again. So it was a huge injury, but to bounce back from that and be able to play is something that I'm grateful for all the medical support I had.
Yeah, you end up at Collingwood, we know that. Did it happen quickly at the end of 22, or was it something that had been building for a while, the move to the Pies?
It happened pretty quickly, I would say. Towards the end of the footy season is when these sorts of things and conversations start to happen in the background. Collingwood at the time were playing finals in 2022, so they obviously had bigger fish to fry and bigger things on their mind, but there's always things, with your management going on in the background, and I just wanted to focus on finishing the year as well as I could for Hawthorn, and obviously loved all my time there. Such a great club, and wanted to finish that off on the right note, give it everything, and then I'll let my management control the rest.
I reckon it was a great fit, Tommy, because I reckon the Pies did so much right in 22, but contested footy was probably one of the areas they need to improve. So was that why they targeted you, do you think?
I remember chatting with Fly, and he's been such a great supporter of mine and just such a legend, just one of the best people you'll meet ever. And he just really, I guess, valued what I could bring to the team, and it's been pleasing to know that I can just come in and do my part and focus on my strengths and complement the guys around me.
At what stage during 23 did you go, geez, hang on, I reckon we're a real chance here?
It's a tough one. Like, I look back and I remember starting the year off really well. I think we might have won 4 of our first 5. We started off really well, and obviously finals football is a long way down the track, but the way the boys train and prepare, and there's so much talent within the group, you pair hard work with talent and special things can happen. So you always have that what if in the back of your mind, but you know that it's such a process. Playing finals is tough enough as it is. So it didn't really hit until we made the finals, and I think we did finish on top in the end. Yeah. And as you progress through the finals and there's less teams involved, that's when you really start to dream. Yeah.
Fly, he's a fascinating coach. I think he's taken the coaching world by storm. It feels like it's a different sort of coaching style. Can you tell us what he brings?
Yeah, I would say it is as well. It's, I guess, potentially a modern way of coaching.
Is it relationships based?
Yeah, I would say so. Like, his relationships with every player, every staff member. There's so many things he's brought to the club in terms of, he will have a club meeting on a regular basis at the end of the week, and we go around to staff, we thank them, we value them for everyone's contribution. So I think everyone feels that value and therefore wants to give their best back to not only him but the club.
I love how you enjoy your footy now.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, and you would have seen it with your dad, you sort of had to walk around with a stern face,
Yeah.
even if you had a win. It's so different now.
So different, and that's another thing Fly's instilled is, we're playing footy. You're living out your boyhood dream. What's there not to smile about? Let's have fun doing this. So often you'll see in our pre-game meetings, even on grand final day last year, the boys, he'll have a few gags up there. A lot of them land. He's pretty good at them. And yeah, we just have fun and love doing what we do.
Everyone wants to win a flag. Not many get to do it. You've done it at the biggest club in Australia. What was the aftermath like?
It was a special time. That week was all a bit of a blur. But, we've already had little get-togethers and things, and you walk into the club every day and you see some photos and some memories, and obviously there's a lot more as a group we still want to achieve, but it's something that you'll take with you forever. Yeah,
good times, Tommy. I'll tell you what, last year I was shattered when I read the story about your dog and losing your dog. It was pretty hard to take. I believe you've got a new dog now and you're an ambassador for RSPCA.
Well, yeah, I have 2 golden retrievers and still have Nala, who has been great, and she is the ambassador. I guess I take a back seat, but
you're the +1.
I'm the +1 to her, which is pretty funny. So we actually had to do a photo shoot for her last week, so I had to get her groomed and took her down the park. And I've always loved my dogs and love working with the RSPCA. It's a great charity. Yeah,
fantastic. What about away from footy? I see you got the Ball Magnets T-shirt on now, little coaching app that you've got going. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's an app that was created by Paddy Cripps, Lachie Neale, myself, and Josh Giddey in the NBA is playing a strong role in the basketball component as well. Erin Phillips, who you're very familiar with, she's been super as well with her football knowledge and guidance. So, yeah, we're creating training programs. We're about to release an in-season program, which would be really cool. There's the Ball Magnets podcast, merchandise. So it's a really cool thing that all of us athletes enjoy doing outside of our sport.
And having Josh Giddey involved, you've got some growth there in America, perhaps.
It's huge, yeah. Like he's, I guess he's like the Nick Dacos of basketball. He's 21. He's starting for the OKC Thunder, who this year finished on top of the West in the NBA. And I liken him to Nick because they're both just superstars at such a young age.
Yeah, do you get over there to watch the NBA?
Yeah, every year. I love it. I love the American sport, especially the basketball.
So you're a Thunder fan?
I think I'm on board with the Thunder, yeah. SGA is probably one of my favourites as well, so good backcourt at OKC.
Mate, I'm a novice at social media. I try and do a bit of Instagram work, not very good work. Yep. You're pretty big on TikTok, I've noticed. Tell me about TikTok, because I don't know anything about it.
Okay, so
what do you got to do?
Well, I was in the exact same boat as you, Richo. I'm over 30 now, so to keep up with the young boys in the locker room, what I've learned is you've got to stay on trend with what's going on, and the app at the moment is TikTok. So, there's always a few funny things floating around the Collingwood locker room, and I guess I've just tried to have a laugh with it and contribute and create some funny videos. A lot of them really average, but have a bit of fun with it.
Christian Petrarca is killing it, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's amazing. His videos are, I think he's got the mix of, the professionalism and showing everyone into the life of an AFL athlete. I think he's, got that covered and he's doing an awesome job. So yeah, hopefully, more athletes can come along and do similar sorts of things.
Tommy, King's birthday, always a big game on the radar. Melbourne won last year. You looking forward to it?
Really looking forward to it. Melbourne are a formidable team. They've been around the top, of the ladder for a number of years. They're an opposition we really respect. So it's one thing I've experienced being at Collingwood. There's so many big games and big fixtures. Anzac Day is one, and now the King's birthday game is just as big. So it's also a great game for promoting, MND and what Neil Danaher's done. So we're very grateful to be a part of that. Yeah, we look forward to the big freeze every year. Now, before we let you go, I've got to ask you now, you played juniors with Toby Greene. Yeah.
You've done everything in the game. Toby's done a fair bit.
Yeah.
Who's better?
Toby. Toby. I think everyone would be in agreement of that.
Worked over to Greene.
Oh, he keeps running.
He's a busy little fella. The back.
Toby's got my measure, 100%. All-Oz captain of his club, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot more success in the coming years. So,
Tommy, you're a Premiership player and a Brownlow medalist. So
well, he probably has both coming his way as well. He's a star.
You're right, he's going well. Thanks for joining us. We've got a little Pepper Jack wines here for you, Tommy, the Shiraz Cabernet.
Get that in the off-season.
I might come round to your house.
Welcome. I'll show you how to use TikTok and we'll have a few little treats here.
Yeah, a bit of quince and something else.
A few blackberries.
I love it. That's it again for Knockoffs for another week. We'll see you again soon. Thanks.